Jason Seidl, director at Dahlman Rose Company, which hosted its annual Global Transportation Conference. And Jason, what were some of the main things that you took away from this two-day conference?
Well, Joe, the biggest thing that I took away was that all the talk about a double-dip economic slowdown is probably all for naught. Most of the carriers that attended the conference talked about growth of some form, which to me is encouraging. A lot of people thought that maybe we peaked out in July, but August kept growing, whether you're an LTL carrier or a railroad. Everyone's talking about growth, and one of the things we tried to do with our conference this year is not only have the carriers come, but some of the third-party logistics companies and also some of the carriers' customers. And everybody that attended our conference talked about growth in some way. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be a choppy economic recovery, but I think at least we're going in the right direction.
Did this compare or contrast with your conference last year?
Well, I think our conference last year had more people a little bit jittery about the economy because if you recall, the economy really fell off at the end of 2008, and we were under severe pressure for most of 2009. And we didn't start really rebounding till late in the fourth quarter. So it was prior to the rebound. You hadn't seen it yet. There was hope, but you never saw it. Now, at least, we're seeing some of it.
There was a lot of discussion about rate increases among all modes, and how strong do you think the chances are of pulling this off?
Well, look, one thing on the rail side, rails have had increases all through the downturn, and in a downturn that exceeded, almost double what the worst case scenarios were for some of the rail planning boards. I think on the truckload side, it's about lack of capacity and a little bit of spike in demand. That should continue. There's many things that's inhibiting trucking companies from growing their fleets, whether it be $120,000 power units or CSA 2010 in a tough environment, or really the lack of credit among mom and pop trucking companies. On the LTL side, we are clawing back from the depths of really what I would call just one of the worst pricing environments since I think the freight wars of the 1990s. And some of the larger carriers who have been responsible, quite frankly, for this are actually starting to get freight discipline. So I think we're seeing increased pricing across all modes of transportation.
Is capacity likely to continue to be tight?
I think capacity will be tight at least throughout the peak season, and then normal seasonal patterns, at least for trucking and rail companies, will fall off in the fourth quarter and into the first. But I think you're going to probably have a little bit of tight capacity among some of the parcel carriers whose peak season is actually later.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that shippers should be concerned about?
Well, I think a lot of shippers, if you talk to them, they're concerned about managing their supply chain and managing their cost. I think they're seeing the pendulum swing back the other way, and from some of the panels, from some of the third-party logistics companies, some of the smaller shippers are now actually going towards outsourcing. Said, hey, listen, can you save us some of this price increase? Maybe we're not going to pay 15% on our truckload business now. Help us pay only 7%.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.